Hey there, HorseCenter fans. Matt and I are back with another exciting edition of the show. Matt, we are talking middle jewel of the Triple Crown. This time it's the last jewel of the Triple Crown.
It sure is, Brian, and I'm kind of excited that we're finally finishing up the Triple Crown.
I'm excited that the Derby winner gets to show his stuff again in the Preakness, Matt, or is an upset in store for Authentic? Watch our preview right now here on Horse. Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the outstanding pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Shippen. How are you today, Matt?
I am outstanding, Brian. I feel like we are at a major point with the end of the Triple Crown finally at hand.
Finally at hand, and we have a Derby winner here, Matt. We don't have a Derby winner going for the Triple Crown still, which is a rarity in the Preakness, but the Preakness is Saturday. We're excited to see it. Authentic rules as the favorite of his very good win in the Kentucky Derby 4 weeks ago, Matt. Authentic, the horse to beat, but we're going to run down the whole field, starting from the rail. Exception was a bit of a surprise when we saw his name come up as a Preakness starter.
Yeah, that's for sure. Drew the rail. Last seen running at Oaklawn Park on the Derby Trail in the Rebel when he finished second on a sloppy track. I assume that they're gonna be doing a little rain dance.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think Accession looks like a better horse when it's sloppy. Certainly his one really outstanding race came on a sloppy track. So right now it's looking very much likely that we'll have a fast track Saturday at Pimlico, which may be not what Accession wants. 30-1 from the rail with Sheldon Russell. The number 2 has also won on slop, Matt, but he's proven himself on fast tracks too. I'm talking Mr. Big News, Matt. Only 12-1 on the morning line this time. He was near 50-1 when he ran a very good third in the Kentucky Derby.
Our man, Mr. Big News. We brought him to prominence in that upset out at Oaklawn Park when he won at 50-1, but he's back and seems to be in the best form of his life. Trainer Brett Calhoun seems to feel like this is a good horse, and this is the horse that's getting better and better. So, hey, runs another race like that, like he did in the Derby, I guess he could be a factor once again.
Yeah, why not, Matt? And I have chosen to draw a line through that Bluegrass where he did not run well. He was shuffled back. I guess he finished the Bluegrass with a little bit of run, but it wasn't a very good race. But that was after a layoff. It was at Keeneland. Wasn't his day. Throw that race out, and his form looks pretty good as a rallier here in the Preakness from the 2-hole. Gabriel Saez will again be aboard. Number 3, Matt, is Art Collector. And Art Collector, I was almost a little surprised how low he was in the morning line. He's 5-2. Brian Hernandez Jr. will be aboard, the horse that missed the Kentucky Derby, and now he's a threat in the Preakness.
That was my reaction also, Brian, when I saw the morning line. I was a little surprised that he was 5-2. I feel like he's going to be more than that with the size and the quality of the field and Authentic in there, and a couple of these horses getting a little wise guy play, but who knows? A 4-race win streak is a powerful thing amongst bettors. I liked Art Collector heading into the Derby. I'm not sure if the extra time is going to be a good thing or a bad thing for Art Collector, but I feel that this is the toughest spot that he has been in his career.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Matt, although I feel like this is probably a slightly easier spot than the Kentucky Derby would have been. You liked him a little bit more than I did going into the Kentucky Derby. Of course, he didn't run. The injury, the good news is the injury was extremely minor. He very well could have run in the Kentucky Derby if it had been 1 week later. That's how minor that injury was. So it doesn't look like that's any concern at all heading into the Preakness here on the first Saturday of October for Art Collector. He's been terrific this year, 4 for 4. We just don't know quite how good he is. You saying this will be his toughest test to date, and I completely agree with that, but he does have a lot of talent. He's shown it in all 4 races this year, and he also has a fair turn of speed. So if they're thinking that Authentic is the horse to beat, this could set up something early in the Preakness, with Authentic and Art Collector being at least 2 of the horses that go out there early. Another one that could be out there early, Matt, with a rider switch is the filly, the lone filly in the field. Rachel Alexander is the only filly to win the Preakness in our lifetime. That came a little bit over a decade ago, and she was the first filly in a long time to win the Preakness, Matt. Swiss Skydiver, does she have a shot to win this year's Preakness?
She certainly has a shot. You can't discount Swiss Skydiver in any race that she goes in. She has shown that all season long, all over the country, against fillies, against the boys in the bluegrass. She's a contender. She runs hard every race. You were surprised about the 5-2 odds on Art Collector. I was surprised to see jockey Robbie Alvarado named as the rider.
Yeah, well, McPeak came back after the Kentucky Oaks and said he wasn't thrilled with the ride given by Tyler Gaffney-Leon in the Kentucky Oaks, getting off the rail, getting on the rail early, and then getting off the rail at a key juncture and swinging her wide. So Robbie Alvarado's the rider. It'll be interesting to see how close she is to this pace, which I expect to include Authentic and Art Collector, the 2 favorites for the Preakness. I guess if you really like her, it's hard not to like Art Collector, who was clearly better than her in the last 16th of a mile in that bluegrass a few starts back. But she has been absolutely terrific in 6 consecutive graded starts. She's run against the males before. She's been a distance of ground before, Matt. Really nice filly, and I'm happy to see them taking a shot. On the other hand, I'm not sure if this Preakness sets up completely well for the lone filly in the field. Another horse 6-1 on the morning line, Matt, is right next to her, and that's the 1,000 words. 1,000 words will be ridden by Florent Geroux, and of course he had to miss the Kentucky Derby, but we didn't know it until about a dozen minutes before post time.
Yeah, the dramatic paddock activity by 1,000 words when he slipped, and anytime a horse does that, they're going to get scratched. Trainer Bob Baffert says he came out of that perfectly fine. He's been to the track, hasn't missed any training. I'm a little curious about the fact that they're putting blinkers on this horse. Baffert says he's trained better with blinkers on. I don't know. I just don't like that move here, Brian.
Yeah, the one thing I like about 1,000 Words is he's a fresher horse than some, Matt, and he's getting not only blinkers, but he's getting Florent Geroux, who won a lot of big races in September. But Geroux is generally a pretty aggressive rider. He'll send the horse up. I thought he would be able to sit off the pace, but I wonder, blinkers and Geroux, if maybe he'll be a little bit closer to the pace than I originally thought. But I still can't see him going with his stablemate Authentic and probably Art Collector and maybe 1 or 2 others. Maybe he gets first jump. You mentioned with Swiss Skydiver at 6-1, you thought that might be a little low. I think 6-1 on 1,000 Words might be a little low. But on the other hand, he makes sense as a logical horse if the favorite or favorites are beaten in here. The 6 may make a little less sense, Matt. That's Jesus's team, 30-1. He was a claimer earlier this year. He's been running against good horses lately, but hasn't broken through with a win yet.
Yeah, he's been running against decent horses lately. Another one of these horses that is a presser, that likes to be close to the pace, involved in the pace. You mentioned earlier the pace scenario maybe not being ideal for Swiss Skydiver. I kind of feel the same way about Jesus's team, but he doesn't have the quality that a number of the horses that we've already mentioned have.
Yeah, and I would suspect he would be a little farther off the pace myself, but not so much the 7 horse, Matt. The 7, of course, is New York Traffic, and he was my top long shot in the Kentucky Derby. Things did not go well from the very start when he banged hard into Honor AP coming out of the gate. Never got super close to the lead, and then backed out a little bit to run 8th in the Kentucky Derby. I guess if you blame the trip a little bit, you could still see him as a threat in here. After all, he just missed to Authentic 2 starts back in the Haskell 15-1 on the morning line. Hard to throw him out completely.
I agree. Hard to throw him out. Gets a local rider, which will be a good thing. And I agree with what you said, Brian. If I was going to use New York Traffic, I'm going to have to completely throw out the Derby, say things didn't go his way, and hope that he gets back to that super consistent performances that we saw along the Derby Trail when he has been a real competitor down the stretch. But I'll be honest with you, Brian, I'm going to pass on New York Traffic this time around.
Yeah, he came out of the Derby with some cuts, and we didn't know if he would be in the Preakness even. But like I said, one nose short of catching Authentic in the Haskell 2 starts back. Number 8, Matt, is Max Player. Just like New York Traffic, Max Player is 15-1 on the morning line. He's been a rallier. He's been a horse who has picked up a check. He's been a horse who's past tired horses in all of these races lately. The Belmont, the Travers, the Kentucky Derby. He'll be the only horse to run in all 3 legs of the Triple Crown, Matt.
And that's a feather in his cap for being durable enough to do so. Like you said, a late runner, past tired horses. I kind of liked him in the past, but I'm gonna pass on Max Player this time because I feel like there are some other late runners in this field that I'm gonna give a shot to.
Okay, there is some speed in here, so I am considering Max Player in here, maybe getting finally the race setup that he wants. Part of the reason I think he'll get the race setup, Matt, is the horse everybody will be watching to the number 9 hole. Johnny Velasquez will be up again on Authentic, the Kentucky Derby winner. Only 9-5 on the morning line, Matt. I thought he would be lower than that. I also think he's the horse with an X on his back in that everybody will be keeping an eye on Authentic. I think it might be a little bit harder for him to get the lead and relax a little bit on the lead like he did in the Derby with such an obvious X on his back, if you will.
I agree. Looking at the running style of the horses, and we've already pointed out a number of horses that are likely to be pushing him on the lead early. Johnny V stays on board. I agree. I saw 9-5, and I was surprised by that. I definitely think that he is going to be less than 9-5 in there. So there's not a lot of value, but history is on the side of Authentic in terms of the Triple Crown as it typically is run 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby. His trainer, Bob Baffert, is 5 for 5, Brian, with Kentucky Derby winners moving to the Preakness. He has won every single time. That is a pretty remarkable record. Again, I don't know if any of that matters now that we have a month between races, but Authentic is going to be hard to beat in this race. Doesn't mean he's going to have value, but I think he's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, I see him as strictly the one to beat, too. We don't know how much he improved from his loss in the Santa Anita Derby, his narrow nose victory over New York Traffic in the Haskell to win that Derby. He sure did look like a better horse, and maybe he is improving at the right time for 7-time Preakness winner Bob Baffert. Baffert, of course, also trains 1,000 words in here. Authentic looked awfully good. He's strictly the horse to beat, but on the other hand, at even money or 6-5, I'm not super excited about him as a betting prospect, but I do recognize him as the most likely winner of this year's Preakness. Number 10, Matt, is an interesting long shot ridden by Joe Bravo. We have Pneumatic coming off a stakes win at Monmouth Park.
Yes, another one from Steve Asmussen. Joe Bravo rode him in that win in the Pegasus at Monmouth Park, one of the new Derby Trail races that was added on in this COVID year. That was a nice victory at Monmouth Park. Earned a good speed figure. I think this is a horse that's getting a little bit of buzz. I think this is a horse, the horse from the Asmussen barn, that's going to get a lot of action. And I have a little bit of interest in this horse too. I'm going to need to see Joe Bravo stay a little farther back off the pace with this horse. and make a stalking run.
Yeah, and in that stakes win at Monmouth, he made a quick move on the turn and he quickly ended that race. Jesus's team was rallying a little bit at him at the end, but Pneumatic was an obvious winner as soon as they straightened out. And that kind of move is dangerous. We saw it last week with Improbable out in the Awesome again out in California. Pneumatic still pretty lightly raced. He did have a shot in the Belmont. He didn't do a whole lot down the stretch to be a well-beaten fourth that day. But I like the fact that they got him an easier prep, and then they skipped the Derby to look for this race. I'm not sure if I love him at the mile and 3/16 distance. We'll see, though. He's an interesting horse. As is the 11, Matt. Live Your Beast Life. Nice first-time out winner, son of Go Zapper, who really was going nowhere fast in a series of races down at Gulfstream Park. Turned it around a little bit at Belmont Park, and then really turned it around with his last two races at Saratoga.
Yeah, that's for sure. For trainer Jorge Abreu, who was an assistant trainer for Chad Brown for a lot of years, gets local rider Trevor McCarthy up in the saddle. I had mentioned earlier when we were talking about Max Player that there are other horses that I like coming off the pace more than Max Player. This is my horse, Brian. I think Live Your Beast Life is a 3-year-old who is getting better. He is going to get the right kind of setup. I like the turn of foot that I've seen from this horse down the stretch in his last two races. And maybe with that turn of foot and the right setup, he could get into the trifecta at a much better price than, for instance, Max Player or some of the other closers.
Yeah, I think that is a possibility, Matt. His races at Saratoga, like I said, I liked a lot, and he really did close ground last time in the Jim Dandy. So I'm not sure both about the class. He's definitely stepping up quite a bit, maybe more so than a lot of horses in this field. And I also wonder if maybe he's just better at Saratoga than other tracks. But an interesting long shot and one that should be running late. All right, Matt, that's enough of that. Let's get right into our bets. People want to see what we're betting. I'm going to let you go first with your 3 bets, I think. And I think you're going to start it off with the Black Eyed Susan before the Preakness.
I am going to do that. The Black Eyed Susan for 3-year-old fillies is race 10. The Preakness is race 11. I'm going to do some Black Eyed Susan, Preakness daily doubles, and I am going to, in race 10, use Bonnie South. And if you fans of the show, you've heard Brian and I talk about this horse before, and we've liked what we've seen with her. She's run against the best of the 3-year-old crop and ran into some really tough spots in her last few races. So her PPs look a little muddied up. I like her in there. I'm also going to use Perfect Alibi, who comes from the Mark Cassie barn. This is another one who I feel who has been in some tough spots recently. I'm not sure about the distance, but this is a horse that I see as getting better going into the Black Eyed Susan. I'm going to use those two in the Preakness. And now I am going for a couple of price horses in the Preakness. Yes, I respect Authentic. Yes, I like Art Collector, but they're going to be the top 2 choices. I'm going to take a shot and use Bonnie South, Perfect Alibi with Pneumatic, and Live Your Beast Life. $10 tickets, that's $40. If I get lucky with one of those price horses in the Preakness, might be a good payoff. Then I'm going to do trifecta in the Preakness, 50-cent trifecta. I'm going to, in this play, I am going to use Authentic, and I am going to use Art Collector. So 50-cent trifecta ticket, it's going to be Art Collector, Authentic, and Pneumatic with Live Your Beast Life, my closer, my price horse that I hope to get into the trifecta. And then I'm going to do the similar ticket again with Art Collector, Authentic, and Pneumatic on top, Live Your Beast Life in the second spot, and all in the third spot. Those are not big tickets. $13.50 for each of those trifecta plays.
Interesting matchup, and you're trying to get Beast Life into the second and third spot there. I wish you good luck, and I certainly see him as a possibility to do just that. In the Black-Eyed Susan that you started it off with, I do see Bonnie South as the class of the race. I think Brad Cox is using this as a kind of a confidence builder for her for bigger things coming. I think she's the class of the race, and I do expect her to win. The only negative is she's coming out of a longer race at Saratoga, but I think she stands over the field. She'll be the likely favorite, but I do like her chances there. Perfect Alibi, I'm not sold on this year. I don't know if she wants a distance. I don't know if she's as good this year. So Hopeful Growth would be the horse that I like second best in that Black-Eyed Susan. All of my bets, folks, I'm going to give you a little bit more. I'm going to go Preakness only, but I'm going to give you 4 different tickets here as Brett puts my stuff up on the screen. We're going to go Exactus to start with. I'm going to do Exacta Part Wheels, and I'm just going to use the 2 horses that I like the best on top and then in the second spot. So those 2 horses are Authentic, I think the most likely winner. I'll accept a lower payoff because I think I need to have Authentic on these tickets, but I want to get some odds in there. And the rallier I like best is Mr. Big News. I think he'll still be pretty much a long shot in here. I don't think he'll be any lower than his 12-1 morning line. So I want Authentic and Mr. Big News on top. 3 horses that I fear the most underneath are Art Collector, 1,000 Words, and Max Player. I'm hoping for some rallies in here with horses like Mr. Big News, Max Player, and even Live Your Beast Life. Then the slightly smaller Exacta ticket will just have Authentic and Mr. Big News in the second spot below those same 3, Art Collector, 1,000 Words, and Max Player. Then I'm going to kind of stick with my similar horses in the trifecta. I'm going to go with Authentic and Mr. Big News on top. They have to win for me to hit my trifecta. One of the 2 has to win. And then one of the 2 either has to run second or third. These are the 2 that I've identified as the horses I like best. So I'll have them in my first trifecta in both first and second, kind of an Exacta box in the trifecta. Then I'll use the same 3 horses I used in the Exactas. That's Art Collector, 1,000 Words, Max Player, and I'm going to throw in Matt's long shot rallier because I do like him a little bit. Live Your Beast Life in the third spot. And then I'll just reverse it a little bit with the smaller trifecta. Again, Authentic Mr. Big News on top, this time with the 4 horses, Art Collector, 1,000 Words, Max Player, Live Your Beast Life in the second spot. And then I'll need Art Collector or Mr. Big News. Authentic or Mr. Big News in the third spot. And that one thing I'm looking for with my wagers is that there is a strong pace. It knocks probably Swiss Skydiver out of the picture. It knocks probably New York Traffic out of the picture a little bit, and maybe even Art Collector a little bit. I think Authentic could win on class, but I expect some rallying in here. I like Mr. Big News best of the ralliers over Max Player, and then Live Your Beast Life. All right, Matt, that's it. I thought you were going to have a comment on my bets, but mum's the word. All right. Hey, Matt, we had a couple people ask us about our favorite Preaknesses, so we decided to show these just for fun. You're going to go with one where I was a very young man, but I remember this Preakness. Who's your Preakness winner? Your favorite Preakness winner?
Brian, my favorite Preakness winner has to be my favorite horse of all time by, no other horse comes close in terms of my favorite horse, and that is Secretariat. So the 1973 Preakness with Secretariat on his way to the Triple Crown, and that was an interesting Preakness because it kind of lived on for years and years and years with the controversy of the time of the Preakness. Pretty quickly after that Preakness was run, people were saying, wow, that time doesn't seem right. That time seemed awfully slow. And it was discussed over and over and over again until many, many years later. The official time of the Preakness was changed and gave Secretariat a track record in all 3 jewels of his Triple Crown.
Yeah, track record, and of course the teletimer just was a little off, and all of the hand timers that day had the right time. Of course, what I remember about that Preakness, Sham ran another good race. His rival in the Kentucky Derby ran another good race in the Preakness, but to see Secretariat, it wasn't a big field, but to see Secretariat go from last to first on that first turn is something you don't see every day, kind of showing just what kind of horse Secretariat, a special horse. He showed it on that first turn in the Preakness, and then, of course, Sham had no answers the rest of the race. So the 1973 Preakness is Matt's favorite. My favorite is 1989. This was easy for me because I was a big Sunday Silence fan. Easy Goer was a great horse, Matt, and they hooked up in probably their best of their 4 meetings in the Preakness, and it was kind of a battle of the jockeys, the two Pats, Pat Valenzuela and Pat Day, and Pat Day made an early move, and Pat Valenzuela came on again on his outside, and then the stretch run was a thing of beauty where 2 great horses, maybe not quite as great as Secretariat, but 2 great horses ding-donging it down the stretch, looking each other in the eye, chest to chest, basically. They couldn't get any closer, and the rail was right there on Easy Goer's left, Matt. It's just a wonderful edition of the Preakness, one of the best races I've ever seen.
Yeah, Brian, I thought that maybe you were going to pick another one of the Preaknesses that ended in a 9, like in 1979, one of your favorites, Spectacular Bid, or in 2009, another one of your favorites with Rachel Alexandra.
Yeah, the 9s have been good Preaknesses over the years. That's true, Matt. But nothing for me beats that 89 Sunday Silence Easy Goer battle in the Preakness. Hey, Matt, we haven't done a lot with foreign horses lately, especially this year with COVID, but we do have the big one in France, the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. Oh, my pronunciation is bad, Matt. I apologize to everybody.
Oui, mon ami.
Yeah, they're at Longchamp again for the Arc. Let's just call it the Arc, Matt. And it looks like a full field. It looks like a race that we don't see in America, where the 2 females in a male race. And the Arc has been won by females a lot in my lifetime, and there's a good chance it will be again, because we have a great showdown of the females in this year's Arc, which is Sunday in Paris, France, at Longchamp. Unable, the great Unable, 6 years old now. She'll be in her 4th consecutive running of the Arc, Matt. And then you got Love, who's just been a revelation this year. She was a nice 2-year-old filly, this daughter of Galileo, but she's been just awesome in her 3 wins this year. So a battle of the females in the Arc, and a battle of the ages in the Arc. 3-year-old Love. Unable, of course, Matt, as you know, won the Arc in 2017 as a 3-year-old filly. She won the Arc in 2018. Last year, she was beaten, went 2nd in the Arc. This year, she goes for her 4th attempt and possibly her 3rd win. Matt, they're getting a lot of rain over there, which they say favors Unable over Love, who hasn't really been tested in this kind of ground. Got a lot of good males, and I think the soft ground may be an equalizer over there. Stradivarius, I don't know if he likes it super wet either, but he might be the most appreciated of all the males, being just a great stayer now for several years. Matt, who's your top pick in the Arc? You have a top pick for me?
Oh, well, I'm just going to say good luck to Unable, and one of the longtime HorseCenter fans over in England, Mark Hode, who loves Unable. And we got to see Unable win in the Breeders' Cup. I don't follow the European racing real closely, but have a little bit of sentimental attachment to Unable.
Yeah, Unable was terrific. We all saw her here with Mark coming over to join us for that Breeders' Cup at Churchill Downs. Another reason to like Unable, but 4 straight Arcs. She reminds me a little bit of Goldakova in the Breeders' Cup mile. Goldakova did end up winning 3. Maybe Unable will win her 3rd Arc on Sunday in Paris. And Matt, before we go, I do want to make mention of that big race that we previewed last week, and that was the Awesome Again. We both picked Improbable to beat Maximum Security, but I don't think either of us thought it was going to be as easy as it.
No, I don't think so. But in actuality, Brian, the race kind of played out exactly the way you described it, with Improbable getting, sitting well behind the rest of the field. I was a little dubious that he would be that far behind. He was 6 lengths behind after a half a mile, and the rest of the field were were tightly packed together. And turning for home, you could see regular rider Luis Saez back up on Maximum Security, working hard as always. Everything looked to be in order with Maximum Security, but Drayden Van Dyke swung Improbable out wide, got clear, and he just blew past the field, opening up a margin of more than 4 lengths. Maximum Security was a fighter down the stretch and beat the rest of the field, but on that day, with that race set up, he was no match for Improbable.
Right, and Maximum Security, to his credit, did outdo Midcourt. It looked like Midcourt might be second there in mid-stretch, but Maximum Security showed the fighter that he is to finish second. Now 2 horses have only ever finished ahead of Maximum Security. I don't think that was Maximum Security's best race. I don't think the race set up for him well, so I would not throw him out moving forward, but this was another coming out party for Improbable. I talked about that burst of speed he has. I said last week I thought he would be last and this race will set up well for him, but I didn't think he would be quite as far back as he was. But that burst of speed he continues to show in all of his races this year is really impressive, and it might be just carrying him to a Horse of the Year title now, 1 race removed from that, as we see these 2 and several other very good horses meeting in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But Improbable, the son of City Zip, is finally living up to all the potential he showed. It was a pretty, pardon my use of words here, folks, pretty awesome performance by Improbable last Saturday in the Awesome Again. Folks, I hope you enjoyed our Preakness preview suggested wager show, our favorite Preaknesses, a little talk about the Arc and Improbable's big win last week. Hey, Matt, can I get a parting shot from you, my friend?
Yeah, Brian. Hey, good luck, everybody, on your Preakness wagers. And, of course, I want to thank Brett Workman, our great producer, for putting together the show.
Yeah, and thanks to all you for watching every week. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that little red button here on the Horse Racing Nation channel on YouTube. Thanks to our sponsor, the best contest site out there, Derby Wars. Next week, we'll be back talking Preakness, but we'll also be really jumping into the Breeders' Cup a lot in the next several weeks. Breeders' Cup's only 5 weeks away, folks. We'll see you next week right here on HorseCenter.